Hey guys, welcome to lesson 8.06 about cylinders. Today your objective is that students will be able to apply formulas to find the volume of cylinders. Before we do anything, let's take a look and see if you remember what we spoke about earlier. What two-dimensional shape makes a cylinder? We talked about rotation on lesson 8.01. That is correct. It's a rectangle. When we rotate a rectangle, we can make a cylinder. Now what I want you to do is in your notebook, I want you to copy the picture, and I also want you to copy the formula. To find the volume of a cylinder, it's pi r square h. R represents the radius, so please also make a note of this. R equals radius, and the h equals height. Now this is super important. Great, so now that you have that written down, let's look at an example. So it says find the volume of the cylinder, and we're going to round it to the nearest tenth. Tenth means one whole number. So the first thing I want you guys to do is write the formula. Volume is equal to pi r square h. Now the 25, that's my radius, and the 40, that's my height. So when I substitute, it'll be volume equals pi 25 square and times 40. So we are going to enter that in the calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and enter it in my calculator. Pi times 25 square times 40, and you should get some crazy number, 78,539.81. Now tenth means one decimal, so my final answer would be 78,539.8. Now don't forget your units, so we're working in inches, and anytime I'm doing volume, it's going to be cube. So when we do area, it's square. When we do volume, it's cube. Make sure you write this example in your notebook along with the other example. Now, I want you to do is pause the video and see if you can do this one on your own. And let's compare answer after that. Yes, go ahead and pause it. Just don't wait for me, okay? Now that you had a chance to check your work, I write the formula and then I'm going to substitute. What's the radius? So notice that this 34 represents the entire length from here all the way. This is my diameter. And we talked about before, the radius is the diameter divided by 2. In this case, will be 34 divided by 2, which is 17. So when you substitute here, this will be 17 square, and then the height is 27. Again, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So volume equals, I'm going to go ahead in my calculator, and I'm going to enter pi times 17 square times 27, which will give me 24,513.8 meters cubed. Don't forget your units. Now the difference between the first example and the second example that you're copying is that here I wasn't given the radius, I was given the diameter. And then I know if I have the diameter, I just take half of that to get my radius, and then I substitute. We have one more example. Now this example is a little tricky, and I'll read it for you. The volume of a cylinder with the height of 9 is 1,000 centimeters cubed. Determine the radius in the nearest tenth. So be careful. Volume equals pi r square h. I am looking for the r. I know the volume is 1,000, the pi, r square, and the height is 9. So we need to now isolate this to get r by itself. Now remember, these are all multiplication. To undo multiply, we do division. So I'll divide this by 9 pi divide this by 9 pi. The pi's cancel, the 9 cancel. Now when you enter this in your calculator, make sure you put a parentheses around those. So you would do 1000 divided by open parentheses 9 pi, or if you do alpha y equals any one of those. With this, you will get 35.367 equals r squared. We'll round at the very end. We're looking for 10th, so that's 1 decimal. So at the end, we'll round those. Now, how do you get rid of this little square? By taking the square root of this guy. So the square root of 35.367 should give me 5.947 is equal to r. Now we need this to the nearest tenth. This number, which is 1 decimal, so if I look at the number after, just to revise what we're doing, this number goes up by 1. Since it's below, it stays the same. So our radius is actually 5.9 centimeters. The reason why I did this one is because you should be able to manipulate the formula with whichever information they give you. So I can give you the radius and the height, like the first example, and say find a volume. I can give you the diameter and the height and say find a volume. Or in this case, I can give you the height and the volume and say tell me the radius. I can also give you the volume and the radius and say find the height. You should be able to manipulate and solve for a specific variable depending on what is being asked for. Now, before you move on to the worksheet, please make sure you have those 3 examples in your notebook. Your task and your assignment is to complete the worksheet that's attached. Please make sure you show all your work in order to get full credit for this work. Alrighty, have a good day, guys.